Thank you for coming. Just a couple of housekeeping rules. If you can please turn your cell phone on vibrate. And we do, the bathrooms are upstairs, but you have to go, just go to the information desk and he or she will guide you to the bathroom that's upstairs. We have Ms. Denalda Mall, she's the Post Office Review Coordinator. We have Mr. John Broadback, he's the Manager of Operation Program Support. And we have two other, Angela Brown and Tony Foster, that will be here. Tonight we're going to start with the program and then we'll have questions and answers. Please, one question at a time so everyone can be heard.
And also this is Chuck Malenich. He's the acting postmaster of Laurel, and he's going to be sitting in for Tony Fawcett, who is the manager of post office operations for the entire 206-207 delivery area. So with that, I want to thank everyone for coming out. We gave you short notice. I wasn't sure whether or not you, Laurel Mall, and those who use the retail services at least were notified of the meeting, because you are the main people that this discontinuing study affects. So with that, we'll just go into the presentation. Okay, some of you may remember back before 1971 when the U.S. Postal Service was the Post Office Department. As the Post Office Department, the Postal Service was a part of the President's cabinet. The President selected our Postmaster General, and we were regulated by everything from Congress. Okay, in 1971, however, Congress created the U.S. Postal Service, which made us a quasi-federal government agency. And at that time, the Postal Service was expected to operate as a business and was expected to make a profit. So, and we have been able to do that until we started our decline in mail volume, which happened around 2006, 2007. Okay, everybody is also aware that we're in an economic slump nationally. Even with that slump, there have been quite a few housing starts nationwide, which have added about 735,000 possible deliveries to our delivery network. But while we have that increase in deliveries, we've also noticed that less and less mail volume is being delivered at each one of those delivery points. So even with the decline in volume, the U.S. Postal Service still delivers 40% of the nation's mail, of the world's mail, really. And we are the third largest employer nationally behind the Department of Defense and Walmart. So we have right now about 32,000 retail units, and with that, we are the largest retail delivery network in the nation. So it's also no new news to anyone that the U.S. Postal Service is going through a financial crisis. And with that, part of that crisis has been brought about by the rapid adoption of electronic means which has really replaced a lot of the postal services. Our customers are using email more and more. They're paying their bills online. Even with smartphones, the smartphones are taking a lot of the messaging away that used to belong to the U.S. Postal Service. And we also have an economic recession, okay? So our financial picture right now is very challenging, but we remain optimistic that we can still make the Postal Service very viable for the future. Okay, in 2006, we had mail volume up around 171 billion, not 171, 213 billion pieces. And we have declined 43.1 billion since 2006 to 171 billion last year. With that, we've seen a decline in our visits to our retail establishments. They've gone from 1.2 billion in 2006 to close to 1.1 last year. Okay, and then that also has had an impact on postal revenues, which have decreased from $14.5 billion in 2006 to $12.5 billion last year. So while we were growing, while the Postal Service was growing, the Postal Service grew its infrastructure. There were plants that were built, there were bulk mail centers that were built, there were more delivery units, more retail outlets. And now that we're seeing that volume go away, now the Postal Service needs to look at decreasing the infrastructure. What you see here is a chart showing our volume forecast through the year 2020. So as I said, in 2006, we were like 217 billion. And we're forecasting, if you look at the blue bars, down in 2020, our volume is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of between 160 and 170 billion pieces. Now that's a best case scenario. If we look at the worst case scenario, our volume could be down to between 110 and 120 billion pieces. Okay, this chart shows the retail network customer trends. It's how our customers are using the Postal Service, or how they are obtaining their Postal Service needs. And if you can see, in 2006, all the way over on the, my right, your left, in 2006, we had about 80% of our customers who were coming into postal retail establishments taking care of their postal business. And we had about not quite 10% who were using digital services. If you look all the way over on the my left, your right, you'll see that in FY 2011, we have about 22% of our customers using digital services, and we're down to maybe, what's that, about 65, 68% that are now coming to the post office. So you see we're going from 80 to 68, and we've gone from 10, 11, down to 22, 21, 22%. Okay, a lot of our customers think or feel that as post offices, as you leave like the cities and go out into the rural areas, that our post offices are spread further and further and further apart. But what we find is that for the most part, most of our post offices are located within less than 10 miles of each other. Mostly within the 5-mile range. And that's even in the rural areas. Okay, so we talk about the need for the change. Now, what has the Postal Service done to try to remain a viable organization during this economic stress that we're going through? So we're consolidating our mail processing operations. Actually, in the Capital District, which is the district that you are involved in, there is a study underway to close the customer service DDC down in Waldorf, and there's another study underway to close the suburban distribution annex. So those two are currently under study. We are adjusting carrier routes. We now have a process called flat sequencing, where the mail is sorted automatically, going straight to the carrier, and the carrier doesn't have to sort it. So this saves us some time in the office for the letter carrier. And with that, we're able to adjust carrier routes. So we've been adjusting carrier routes for several years now, and we're still adjusting now, and we'll be adjusting in the future. We've consolidated area and district offices, and we have also reduced our staffing levels at USPS headquarters and in the districts. And the Postal Service has some facilities which they own. There are few compared to the ones that we lease, but the ones that we own, they are looking at them, and if they're underused, they're looking at selling those off, getting out of the real estate business. And all of our executive salaries have been frozen. Okay, so where we are now is we're doing a feasibility study for the Laurel Mall. And that's where we are in the green. Now, following the feasibility study, there is a proposal that will be posted for a period of 60 days. And in that proposal, we will give you the Postal Service's position on why we think it's a good idea for us to discontinue this office. After that, there's a final determination, and that final determination is made by headquarters. And then after that, there is a unit closeout unless there is appeal. There is an appeal process which will add time to it, and you can see that in the next slide coming up. There is a timeline for this process. So we're now on the 4th line for the community meeting. And then the proposal will probably be posted next week. The questionnaire and customer response, that's the piece that you don't have yet. That's the piece that you're going to get in the mail. And basically that customer questionnaire is a check-off, check. And it gives us an idea of where you are going to get your postal services and what frequency you're using to utilize the post office. And when the proposal is posted, there will be an additional comment form. And that comment form leaves it a little more open to you giving us what your feelings is. It's writing. It's like 3 questions, and you can write out what you really feel instead of having to check a box. And all of that information will go into the review process and will be reviewed. Now, as I said, we started out, we are in a discontinuance study. There has not been a decision to close the Laurel Mall station just yet. Okay, so you wake up. Okay. Next. Okay, so now we'll look at Laurel Mall, some of the information that we've gathered. Laurel Mall has had a revenue decline from the year 2007, going from $600,000. They had an increase in FY08, in 2008, and then decrease in 2009, down to $462,000 in 2010. And some of this, I would suspect, is probably due to the decline of the mall itself. Okay. Within a 6-mile radius, these are the post offices that are available to serve you within a 6-mile radius, I guess, depending on which direction you want to go. So the Laurel main office is like a mile away from the mall. And then there's the Burtonsville post office, which is 3.5 miles away. Montpelier is a branch of Laurel, and that's close to 4 miles away, with Savage and Annapolis Junction being the furthest postal facilities where you can get all of your postal services. Now, other alternate access points within a 10-mile radius, and really this is actually within a 3-mile radius. There's a peak business service. It's a CPU, that's a contract postal unit, and that will give you all of the services that you can get from a regular post office, except post office boxes and express mail, money orders. Right. Okay, there is, for shipping services, the Office Depot on Bowie Road is there. You can mail packages from there. And then for stamp sales, if you just want to purchase stamps, there are about 9 locations in less than 2-mile period. All of the Capital One banks the CVS, the giant food stores, the Safeway food stores, the Bottom Dollar, and TD Bank, all of them sell postal stamps. Okay, so what change can the customer expect? There will not be any change to the zip code. The 20707 zip code will stay. The name will stay. There will be no change to that. And there will be no change in the street delivery. Okay, what will change is where our customers do their face-to-face postal services. And the P.O. boxes would be relocated, or customers could transfer their P.O. boxes to an office of their choice.
So we'd have our same number, you're saying?
You probably will not have your same number because Laurel you don't have any banks of boxes open, right? There are no banks of boxes, so your box number would have to change.
All the thousands of dollars we have in stationery and stuff would have to change.
That would have to change.
That's not cool.
Now, the one point of interest for the P.O. boxes at the Laurel Mall is that the Laurel Mall was one of 49 offices nationwide, which was put into a special program, what the Postal Service calls Move to Competitive. And right now, the postal fees for the P.O. boxes, there are a higher rate, but there are also additional services that those customers get. They have a signature on file and some other things that they can get which are not available to regular P.O. box customers. So I did get some questions last week. I've sent that up to headquarters because that program is managed by headquarters, and to try to get some more feedback so that I could share with customers who have P.O. boxes there just what would happen to them. Would they just go back to the rate and the same service that they had before they were put into this special program, or what? But I'm still waiting for feedback from headquarters on that. Okay, so the benefits to the Postal Service for this consolidation. So the Postal Service, whatever we have had to close or reorganize, no employee has lost their job. So the clerks would be relocated to another office, where vacancies existed. There would be a savings in fuels because our trucks would not have to go to that office. We would maximize our resources and eliminate duplication in that we would not be doing repetitive work at 2 locations. It would all be done in 1 location. And over a 10-year period, we're looking at an estimated savings of $1.9 million. And most of those savings are in the salary and benefits from our clerk employees and custodial employees, the employees that are currently working in there, relocating them.
What about management?
Okay. There's no manager there. Okay, so and that's really the end of the presentation. And so we're going to open it up for questions.
I wanted to ask.
Maybe she's.
Okay, you asked
Oh,
her a question?
No, she's going to call on people.
She did.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I wanted to ask, in your notice, it didn't mention about you filming. Was the public made aware that you were going to film this meeting?
I was not aware that they were filming it. I understand that this is something that is done whenever they have meetings that involve the community in Laurel, they film it. This library does.
Well, the library is filming.
Yes, the library is filming this. This is not us.
I'm a big supporter of the post office. I'm not a post office basher. I've told Darlene and sang a number of times. I think it's the greatest deal in the world to be able to have a letter picked up at my house and taken to my aunt's house in Alaska for 44 cents. It's a super deal. But I've been in the same post office box since 1986. I have all my stationery, everything I've ever done since the whole time I've been in business has that address on it. So I'd like to make a suggestion for you guys to kick around with the people that you talk to. Perhaps a good solution to this would be to end all retail services at the mall post office. Take out all your equipment, take out all your tables, seal up the slot that you could put mail in, and just have whoever, Darlene or Sang or whomever's working at the time, go once a day at like 10 o'clock or 10:30, bring the mail over that are for those post office boxes, put them in, and let us, if we want anything else, if we want to mail something, if we want to buy stamps, we can go to the other places. But allow us to continue to get our mail there, because I would suspect you guys probably have a long-term lease with that place. And you don't have room to move those boxes. If you were going to move those boxes over to Main Street, I'd say, okay, that's cool. At least we can still have our mailbox. But that would be, I think, a good yes, thank you.
And that's something that is being thought about.
Okay,
like
good.
I say, it's part of the process. But can you, when you're asking a question, can you identify yourself, because we're trying to make sure that we, since they're taping and they said I can get a copy, it kind of saves me from taking a lot of notes. But we want to make sure that we identify the comment with the person who made it. So your name, sir, is?
My name's Dave. I have my P.O. Box 5267.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am, we have a question.
I wanted to say that,
Your name?
oh, yes, my name is Christine Jones, and I live at 8th Street between Gorman and Montrose. And I'm coming to say that for this to close for me would be an extreme hardship, that I am a senior on disability. I receive a set amount of money each month. And if I have to go to Main Street at any time, it would be $1 to ride there and $1 to ride back. And that would be a severe hardship for me. I know you say it's only a mile away, but that's for people with cars. And this would indicate that stamps, yes, you can get stamps at other places, but I use the money orders. I have a need to use return receipt requested sometimes, and certified mail sometimes. And I just wanted to make sure that that I get that, and that people that don't own their own cars would face a hardship when being closed. And I met Darlene. She's a very nice person. I met her 3 years ago because she would help me. Sometimes when I went for money orders, I would get confused, and she would always talk to me and try to find out what I was trying to do and tell me the best service for what I was trying to do.
Okay, thank you. So do you walk to the Laurel Mall?
Yes,
Okay.
it's very close to me. I can walk to the mall and walk back home. If I had to go to Main Street, I would have to catch $1 there and $1 back. And you don't know how many times a week or a month you might have to go. And my income just would be severely taxed if I had to pay $2 for each time I had to go to Main Street.
Thank you very much.
Question?
And you could also get street delivery where you live at too, if you wanted that as well.
I don't have a box there.
Okay, well, she's talking about her mail though too.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the post office box. I don't use the post office box.
Okay.
I'm just here to say that the services
Thank you, sir.
that I require are there now.
Ma'am?
I just wanted to say that it's easy.
Your name, ma'am?
Oh, excuse me, I'm 5417.
5417.
Yeah, been there for almost 24 years. Not as long as he has. But it's easier to get in and out. You don't have the kind of lines, except for around Christmas. But there's always people there. You know your postal staff. They pretty much know what you're going to do before you do it. So you just kind of stand there, you wait, they hand it to you, you leave. It's clean, quick, simple. And I don't have to hunt for a parking space. I don't have to worry about tiny little roads with lots of traffic. And I really like it. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Darlene Martin, and I work at the Laurel Mall Post Office. I've been there for 14 years. And they talk about revenue declining, but I don't really see our revenue declining. Whereas we might have used to have 3 people, we're down to 2 people. Sometimes 1 person. So, I mean, I work on a daily basis. Our revenue basically is still the same that it was like a year ago. I mean, I don't see where they say we're losing money, you're not paying the extra person that you used to have. You know, we're not getting lunch relief. I mean, we're working lines, 10, 11, 12 people, answering phones, putting up mail, doing everything by ourselves. So as far as what I see they're actually saving money because we're doing extra work with less people.
Okay, but the graph that had the revenue was just your gross revenue. It didn't take any into consideration any expenses or anything. Okay, that was just your gross revenue.
Ma'am?
Hi, my name is Sheila Gay. I want to ask a question too. The main post office on Main Street, it's a design. Well, are they going to make more parking? I mean, you get in that little parking lot, and here's disabled people, here's senior citizens like me. You used to be able to walk because Main Street, when it first opened, Main Street, but the people now that it's the popularity has exploded. But Main Street is a disaster. It's going to clog Main Street. I don't think they even thinking. It's going to clog Main Street. They have no parking at all. It's just a little small parking. If you go in there, you get locked in. You gotta wait. So what are people going to do? Gas. They talk about the mileage. Gas is going up. Look what we got to pay to go to Burtonsville, go to Montpelier. They're not looking out for the citizens whatsoever. What they're doing is thinking about closing and just thinking about themselves. I'm serious about that. I mean, you're not looking out for the senior citizens who's been in Laurel all of their lives. These are people who have not really sit down and thought about it. These are disabled people. These are senior citizens who put their whole lives into Laurel to build Laurel up. And now they're tearing it down by taking the post office from them where they can walk. They can walk to Giant. They can come push a little cart, go into the parking, into the post office. They can do a little shopping. But right now, you put them on Main Street. I can see closing Main Street opposed to this one because it's a small parking. Have you been there to see the parking? It's ridiculous. You can't even park. And if you drive along Main Street, there's no parking at all. So what are they not looking out for the citizens whatsoever?
She's right. Move Main
They're
Street
really
to
not.
the
They are looking out for the
I don't
citizens.
think so.
See, remember what I said now.
I know what you said.
This is just a study.
I know what it is,
Nothing
but they
has
got close.
been-
I know what you. Yeah.
Nothing has been decided.
They ought to move Main Street over to the mall.
Of course.
There's a lot of empty space there.
Let's move Main Street over.
Yeah.
Like that
Thank you.
Just like politics, people up in Congress tell you one thing, what happened? Before you know it, it's done. So they're telling us it's a study. It's not a study, it's a done deal as far as I'm concerned, because they're going to do it. No matter what we say.
It's not a done deal.
It is.
It's not a done deal.
No matter what we say.
Chuck, you want to comment on the parking?
Well, there is a problem with parking. I got to agree with her. Okay? There is a problem with parking over there. And up and down Main Street, yeah. You can't park up and down Main
No, you
Street.
can't.
There's too many businesses. The parking, but I don't know with the increase in the customer visits that we would get there that it would matter that much, to be honest with you. I really don't.
I think it would. If you have I don't use the computer. I don't trust it to pay my bills. I might go use the post office 20 times a month. I'm serious. I go there a lot.
Well, we
My
appreciate
neighbors
that.
go there a lot. I don't, so we do use the post office. And just like we need mail, people get their medicine through the mail. You need the mail service. But I think closing Main Street, close it. It's going down to two. The thing is, you can't even park. You can't walk. It's really getting bad. Keep it where it is for everybody, for the citizens who's paying their taxes. They're not thinking about the tax people. No, they're thinking about something they can do to try to save a little bit of money, but you're really not saving anything because you are hurting the citizens. And I think they're going to need to look into it and see.
Thank you for your comment.
Ms. Brown?
And I just want to just briefly comment on what our customers saying here. And one of the reasons why we actually come out to have the community meetings because, as Enola said, we just look at the data, and the data doesn't always give you the local intelligence of what goes on to your community. So that's why we actually come out to hear the concerns, because the data wouldn't tell us about the disabilities or perhaps the impact on actually moving. We really do take all those concerns and take them back and look at the entire process. So it's not a done deal. We honestly do take your feedback. When Donalda was talking about the proposal, you actually writing your concerns. We really need all of those because it makes a difference. It really does on their final decision. So we do need you to really write your concerns, send them back to Denalda for us to really evaluate the whole pack. It's not a done deal. And we really come out to really hear the concerns that we don't see when we just look at the data. So I just wanted to make that comment.
Thanks, Ann.
Ma'am?
We have a post office box 5070 at Laurel Mall for the past couple of years. And the reason that we did was because we had terrible service at our home delivery. And we were in and out a lot, and we send in the yellow card or do it online. We had better service online because then I had proof that I really sent in whole mail. They didn't hold the mail, they deliver it. When I'd come back, they couldn't find it. I had Glenn Douglas's personal cell phone on my cell phone to call him. I had such terrible service it was impossible. So we switched over to the mall, and that's been a pleasure for us.
Okay, so have you had to contact Chuck about it?
No, I didn't even know that.
Okay.
I didn't even know that Glenn Douglas wasn't the postmaster anymore. But I still have his cell phone.
So hopefully, hopefully we've seen some improvement in your street.
Much improvement. Yeah. We get our mail on time. We used to get things, come to this meeting 2 weeks after the meeting. That doesn't happen. We had one package recently that Darlene looked for us. It was supposed to have been there about a week before, but it came on time and we were good.
Okay, now you are going to get one piece of mail that tells you to come to the meeting and the meeting's going to be open.
But even if they have PO Box 20726?
Huh?
207, you said you're going to send out mailings
it went to all of the 20707 and
talking about the questionnaire.
the questionnaire.
20726.
The PO boxes.
It should have gone, it should have gone to the PO boxes. It should have gone to the street delivery, and they have also gone to the street delivery in 20708 and 20723 and 20724.
It's coming.
Because that's what they did with Suitland. They sent Suitlands to 48, to Temple Hills, and to Andrews Air Force Base. So when you see them come in, they'll be probably go to everybody.
Okay, ma'am?
My name is Jenny, and I live on Main Street in Laurel. And actually, I misunderstood the posting that I saw. I thought it was a Main Street office was on consideration too. I thought both offices were. But I think my comment is still applicable, especially after hearing a couple of folks' comments here, that regardless of what adjustments or consolidations need to be made or are going to be made, there needs to be some accessibility to services. Because if it had happened on Main Street even, my neighbors, I live around a lot of aging folks, a lot of high disability folks, and there's a lot of traffic that goes to the Main Street one. And hearing folks' story here, I understand that happens at the mall one as well. If there's a consolidation of services, the Main Street one is definitely going to need some additional assistance. I mean, they keep a line of 8 to 12 people in there, and they're great service. They run people through there quickly. They do a great job. But there's no way they could take additional. I'm there almost every day. There's no way they could take 2 more people in that line a day and get through and give the service that they do. And to everybody's point, the parking, it's loaded all day long. They'd have to help manage the traffic across the street. That's a hazard at the Main Street one. So those things need to be taken into consideration. I mean, I watch the aging population around me. I just see people fly down Main Street as it is right now. So I can only imagine if people are going to be coming that direction. There's definitely going to need to be some adjustments to help the community. I mean, this is the kind of a community that everybody watches out for each other, and it needs to be done if those changes are made.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, and
Sandy Brown, live on 4th Street, 20707, zip code. And I second what everyone else has said about the parking and the availability of the post office on Main Street. But as well, I probably haven't been there in over 5 years. I won't mail anything there. I won't even drop a letter in the box over there because everything gets lost or stolen. It goes through there. And should they close the Laurel Mall facility, I would go to Montpelier to do my mail. I would not go to Main Street. And the traffic is a volunteer department. But, must have been 5 years ago, for 1 year, I mailed my bill to BG&E 3 times over that year in one of their post boxes. A couple of times at the back one and once at the front one. And all 3 times I got a late notice on my bill, and it was mailed 2 weeks in advance. And when I called them, they still had not gotten it. They got it a day or 2 later. So I would suggest that you close the Main Street post office. Plenty of parking in the mall. It's easy access to get to the mall. And I would close the Main Street post office, or at least limit it to self-service there.
Thank you.
Sir in the back in the red.
My name is John Terry, 2707 zip code. I'm a philatelic member in Philadelphia. I spend every month too many $100 for mailing. And every second day, post to mail in them more. Because I got a good service over there, you know. I don't want to use on Main Street. If I have a chance to go somewhere, I go to Riverdale, everywhere, but I don't go to a Main Street. I don't want to people cross many hundred stamps for a pen or something that's not a postal experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir in the green jacket.
Yes. I'd like to look at the other end of the spectrum, your declining sales, and also discuss it in terms of green, saving the environment, and lack of activation for people who have 2 telephones. You will get 2 pieces of junk mail. If you have your name on 6 mailing lists, you will get 6 offers to subscribe to the same magazine. If you send back the reply, that will be sent back also at a reduced rate. I believe that somebody needs to look at customer satisfaction. United States Post Office service. The service is being, I think, shortchanged by those people who can afford to pay more for sending the junk mail and more for getting the envelopes sent back if they're sent back. Has anybody looked at that end of the spectrum at any time in the last 10 years? Has anybody here felt satisfied with the amount of junk mail they get?
You call it junk mail, but to us, it's standard mail, and it's a part of our process, and we treasure it. We treasure it in the Postal Service because more and more, the standard mail outweighs the first class. It's the standard mail that's really keeping the Postal Service in business. So it's not junk mail to us.
Well, they may not quit if you raise the price on it and took your income in.
We appreciate all of the advertising mail, the standard mail that we get, because like I said, that helps us to keep the Postal Service viable. It's not junk mail to us. It's special mail.
Raise the price of the special mail.
Sir in the back in the brown.
Yes, sir.
My name is William Patterson. I run several businesses that use the post office probably 3 to 5 days a week. First of all, I'd like to say that the Laurel Mall Post Office, the customer service there is exceptional, and it is beyond any postal service that I've ever been to. And I would say that many post offices are notorious for bad customer service. I know that when I ship something out of the post office, it's going to get delivered, and that's one of the reasons why I do like that. In addition to, I'm also on the board of nonprofits that ship out of that post office. Having to change the stationery is a big impact. Having to go that extra mile. Well, first of all, we do use other services other than stamps, everything from return receipt in addition to PO boxes there. So it does make a big difference, but definitely for the nonprofits where every dollar counts. And I appreciate definitely as a business person the economic severity of this decline. I saw the top line numbers. I'm not sure what the impact is on the bottom line, but I imagine what you're saying is a pretty similar decline. But for us, and particularly in the nonprofit world, it has just as severe an impact, something as small as that, where again, we have to take $1 and turn it into 100, just because donations are down, funding is down from different sources. So again, the customer service is a big factor in the Laurel Mall. Convenience, having to go that extra mile, we may have to ship multiple times. And yes, we do use a mix of services. We are using online services, but it's a complement to what they do. The other point I'd like to make is with regards to the hours. That also, the post offices now are doing almost normal business hours, where people who might need to ship something can't get there before they go to work, because the post office opens typically when they have to be at work, or they close right when they're getting off of work. So it's harder for people to get there to actually ship those packages. So again, that extra mile or 2 miles that goes to Main Street makes a difference, particularly when you're going to go there and find a longer line now, most likely. So thank you for your time. Thank you for this phone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir in the back.
Reverend Ricky Nelson Jones. I'm a pastor of the church here in Laurel. I want to bring up 2 points. Number one, if you go to the Main Street post office, and then you go to the mall post office, there's a different environment. And what I want to emphasize is that at the mall post office with Darlene and this gentleman here, there's a crisp professionalism.
Yes, sir.
And when you go to the Main Street, I'm not saying they're not doing their job. I'm not saying they're not being professional. I'm simply saying there's a lack of that crispness. In other words, it's like everybody has resigned to the fact that you're going to have a long line, so chill. And so there's a difference there. You'll never see that in any data. But Darlene and this gentleman here, they have a crisp professionalism about what they do at the mall. That's invaluable. That's the first thing. Second thing is, the church has a P.O. box there, and we've been renewing it for a year period of time over the last couple of years. But recently, I only renewed it for 6 months because of all this talk about it perhaps may close. I don't think the post office understands this, and I don't think any of you understand this. You cannot remedy closing that post office for my P.O. box. You can't remedy that. You can't send me somewhere else. I wanted a post office box at that location. So if you close that location, you can't give me that location again. So wherever you send me to, that's not a remedy for me. So I'm thinking that many times she's not thinking about this. This is the post office that we want at this location. So if you close it, the only thing I can think of that may make sense is you have to give me my money back. That's all.
Sir.
I've got probably 3 or 4 unrelated thoughts. My name is Tom Panfield, Post Office Box 5210. I've had this 5.5 by 11 box. I've had that since August '87. I had a smaller one there for a few years before that. I have that box because it's I live right at Middletown High Rise, across the street from the old wards. And I have that box because it's a major benefit for me. If I would need to go to someplace else, it would be a detriment. I wouldn't continue having a post office box. I moved here in '75. Laurel, at that time when I needed things, I'd go to the Main Street office. But since then, population has more than doubled. And most of the new population is on the south and southwest part of the city, where it's practical to get over to the Laurel Mall post office and they can park, except at Christmas it can be a little tough sometimes. Probably not anymore. There's a huge new apartment building there, 4th Street and Shirley Lane. I think BRAC is probably going to force that thing to fill up as more people get forced to move to work at Fort Meade. So I think business could pick up there. Maybe just a big philosophical one. The purpose of government is to do things that are necessary that are not profitable. Now, you have no choice. You have no control over that, but I think it was a mistake in '71 to stop doing something that's necessary for the citizens of the country, to just try to make it a profit center. Thanks.
Thank you.
Sir.
Hi, my name is Sang. I'm window clerk at Laurel Mall Post Office as well as PO Box clerk. And First of all, I'd like to thank Ms. Mott about your update information about the real mail notification and premium service we have at the Laurel Post Office. There was my concern that how I can answer to my question whenever they come to me, ask me about their PO box with premium service, which they don't have it, not in any other location. Only 49 stations were selected about a year ago, and we kind of promised to customers that we will provide premium service for PO box. But now they're talking about possible consideration about shutting down the Laurel Post Office. So I'm looking forward to hearing any updated information so I can answer to my PO box customer. And second of all, the revenue that I saw on the screen a while ago, declining from year 2007 to 2010. Like what Ms. Darlene said, we are the ones who's been working on the window many years. And I don't feel like we have a loss of that much revenue. What I'm saying is that this has to be put in your consideration when you determine consolidation. How many employees is there working? Just two of us. Ms. Darlene and me. Sometimes we have to work ourselves. We only have one person working on window. But that's how much money we generate every year. I believe one of the reasons why we lost our revenue down there from year 2007 to 2010, you said that we lost some down there. I don't remember what year was it.
Actually, you made an increase in 2008.
Thank you.
2008.
But one of the reasons that we lost our revenue was because we've been hearing so much rumor that our name, our post office might be shut down. People, they don't open the PO box over there. They're reluctant to open the PO box, and they go to another post office to open the PO box. PO box revenue is another revenue at Laurel Station. To me, that's the only way we can increase revenue compared to what we've been doing years right now. But we cannot increase PO box revenue because everybody heard rumor, everybody hear our name on the newspaper like that. Then they're reluctant to open the PO box over there. That's another reason that we lost our revenue over there. So I really, whoever make a decision, I really want those people to put in the consideration how many employees we have, how much annual income we earn. I really want that put it in the consideration, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I'm Dina Briscoe. I watched the presentation, and there was a critical piece missing from your presentation. You show where in 1971 the Postal Service went from a service to a business, or having a business model and trying to gain more money. And with that, it was a piece missing from that showed where, when that happened, there was also a mandate for the Postal Service to pay 75 years in advance for workers, including management, to pay for our benefits. 75 years in advance. And with that money being going to Congress, and Congress made this rule, that's missing from your spiel because the public needs to know that. The presentation is saying the problem is, one, the financial crisis of the country. Then it's saying that the other problem is people stop mailing. So it makes it look like the public is the reason why this happened, and now you're being punished at Laurel Mall because now we may take away your station. And I think that's unfair. And the other part that's missing from it, when you went from 71 and then you went to today, you didn't show how there are bills in Congress right now, one, that the Postal Service and employees are supporting to try to salvage the Postal Service from having to pay that money, which will help us to go back to being in the black instead of being in the red. And with that, none of these stations will have to be closed. So I think the fight should be to try to get bills in Congress, to get Congress to make this problem, to get Congress to solve this problem by passing bills that would take this mandate from the Postal Service. And the overpayment that we all know in the Postal Service know that's going to OPM. That we want back. So that the problem with that is that it looks like it's a public problem, but it's really between Congress and the organization. And I think that should be more of a focus than to have the public feel as though, because I'm listening to the people here who live in Laurel, who may lose their station, feeling as if they're about to be punished, and they're about to go into a hardship, and they're about to have bad situations to try to get service with what the organization started out with, to be a service and provide quality service, which they're saying they're getting now, and they may lose. I just want to share that.
Okay, and normally on the slide where I talk about what the Postal Service is doing to try to stay viable, I do mention the fact that our Postmaster General has been before Congress several times to promote or to get Congress to agree to not having the Postal Service forepay for the retirement benefits and for the health insurance benefits, which the Postal Service is required to do, and no other federal agency is responsible for. So I normally make that a talking point, even though I didn't have any presentation. But I think even though, even with that, if we are granted that exception, that the Postal Service is still going to have to close some facilities.
Have they done an audit on all of the area? I mean, is the mall, Laurel Mall, the only one that they did an audit and a revenue on? Because I'm sure Main Street is not jumping off those trains because people are not really going there as much. And like you said, the staff at Laurel Mall is much, I mean, they're perfect. I've been to Main Street and they can have some really mean people down there, but they push them on and they've been really, I mean, you don't even want to go there. Once you go to Laurel Mall, you would never go to Main Street. I'm sorry, I don't mean that. But have they done an audit on all of them, or they just picking on Laurel Mall? I mean, I don't
No, right now there were 29 facilities in the Capital District, which is our district that services Washington, D.C., Southern Maryland, and suburban Maryland. There were 29 facilities that were identified by U.S. Postal Service headquarters for a discontinuance study. And when we finish this one, I'm sure to say, because a lot of people say, well, why don't you close this one? How come you're not looking at this one? Then probably next year, we'll probably get another list of offices to study. And we don't know what offices will be.
Whenever I go there, the trucks are filled to the brim with mail. So I don't know where they're getting their, and mail's not coming out of a mall. I mean, it's full. Whenever I go there, the bins are full. So somebody's putting something there, whether it's junk mail or whatever, it's mail. And I mean, I don't see it. I mean, you might put that on paper right now. We're 2011. I don't see that up there showing what they've done. It's almost the end of the year. You went up to 2010 showing what Mall had done. We're at 2011. I'm sure it's up there. It's almost the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. But well, our fiscal year runs from October the 1st to September, so we just finished fiscal year 11. So, I don't have all those figures for that fiscal year.
I don't see it. And I just say
our new fiscal year started October the 1st.
It's a lot of hardship.
So we're now in fiscal year 2012.
But Main Street, the personalities are horrible. I mean, they really are. And that's why I would never go there. But you go to the Laurel Mall, you feel like you're with family. And it's safe to see it, but nobody wants to lose their family. And you're losing their family part of, as you say, because we are. They're part of our family because of the attitudes they are, and they're excellent. Just like the gentleman back there said, you can't find better people. They help you, they help the handicapped, they don't rush you. And you'd be surprised, the people, even though the lines might be gone, nobody's upset because of the people that are working. They don't get upset. They move along, but you go to the main post office, they push and shove it, say all this stuff, but Laurel Mall, they're not there really. I'm serious. Everybody's impatient and they sit there because of the personnel.
Okay. We'll take two more questions, sir. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Edward Chestnut, P.O. Box 5294. I've had this box for several years now, and I've worked with both post offices in Main Street, the one at the mall. I have to say that it's a pleasure working with the ones at the mall because I think they're far more professional in their approach to doing things. Another thing that has been brought up, I agree with a lot of been said, is that crime control. No one controls the climate. Everybody knows it's changing. One thing about the mall, you have covered parking. That when it snows bad or whatever the weather may be, you have someplace you can go. You can actually get to the mall easier because you can actually go through Hex to get to the mall if you have the need to get there and get out without issues with respect to snow, ice, sleet, and 12, 14 feet of snow, whatever it may be. So keep in mind that BRAC is not the only issue too as far as change. There are a lot of subcontractors that support the BRAC effort that are also moving in this area. Not only is DISA moving, and also you have NSA, but you have several thousand subcontractors also supporting those organizations. For every government organization, you have subs that are coming to support them as well. So what I'm saying is that this area is going to grow. I've already seen it. I can see it by the traffic. All you got to do is get out here 4 or 5 o'clock, or even earlier, and traffic is getting greater by the day. It's not just Northern Virginia, but here too, is what I'm trying to say. And I have to say that if you look at the big picture into the future, that you got a first-class group of people at the mall that are going to need help, need some help, I think. And they need to expand that because of the fact that the economics of BRAC and all the contractors coming in to support BRAC, we're talking about a major change in this area. It's coming. I already see it happening as we speak. I've been here over 11 years. I've had a fuel box there for every year that I've been here, and I see the changes. And even though you say the revenue was not there, well, I have to say that revenue should be looked at probably in the next 2 or 3 years to see how it's going to change. Because I feel that possibly more people are promoting the fact that that mall has a post office there since it's going to be discontinued. More people need more traffic to come in there because of convenience, given that the fact that they do have concern for professionalism of the staff, and getting out, and they do a far superior job in terms of working with people. And the fact is that nobody can control the weather. And when you have covered parking, and you don't have covered parking on Main Street, you got to get out there and slip and slide everybody else and hope you get a spot to park. So I'm just saying, from a logistics and from a private perspective, I think you ought to keep that one open. Maybe consider closing some others. We don't have the kind of what I call ambiance that we mall has.
Thank you. Thank you. This concludes our presentation. And again, thank you. If you have any additional questions, concerns, send a questionnaire. You can send that to the Nova Mall, 900 Brentwood Road, Northeast.
You said you were taking 2 more questions.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, my name is Wayne Mitchell. I work at the main office of Laurel. I've worked there since 1977. And I was there when the mall first opened. And myself and another gentleman there, Bob Barton, were the 2 people that worked in the mall the first time ever. In Christmas of probably it was 1980, I imagine, somewhere around that time. The mall was new, it was up thriving. At Christmas time, we were working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, from December 1st to December 24th. The traffic in the Laurel Mall was shoulder to shoulder through the main corridor. The amount of revenue we took in was absolutely incredible. People would come to do their shopping and, of course, get their postal business done at the same time. It was very convenient. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone, even more than that. Over the years, I've watched the slow and then now recent rapid decline of the Laurel Mall. And especially, it was probably, maybe 5 years ago that the eatery up top was full. Now I believe there's 1 left, maybe 1 store up at the eatery up top. Many of the other stores have just totally vacated. And to reiterate what someone said here, with that decline in the mall, seems to have come the decline in revenue because people don't come to the mall anymore. The other thing is that also what Sang says is true, that the rumors have been spreading about the mall closing, being torn down, renovated for years. As far as the post office box revenue is concerned, I've had many customers come and open post office boxes at the main office, and they feel it's much more inconvenient because of the parking. Number one, very small parking lot. The building faces Main Street. The parking lot is on the right-hand side if you can park in the parking lot. Or if you can find parallel parking, which a lot of people are not too adept at anymore, especially seniors trying to park in the limited spots out on Main Street. If you're lucky enough to be able to park in the parking lot, you have a long, uncovered, like this gentleman back here was saying, walk all the way to the front of the post office, not undercover. In the Laurel Mall, you can park under that covered parking lot and walk fairly close to the door so that you have a fairly short run or walk to the doors to get into the mall. And you know, there are plans, and I don't know where these plans are as far as how far they're moved along, to still constantly renovate that Laurel Mall. I don't know, I heard recently, I don't know if it's true or not, somebody else took it over, bought it, and now they've got plans. When they renovate that mall, I think the revenue would pick up, and I do believe the post office at that time in the future maybe needs to look a little farther down the road and say, you know, we may have made a mistake here. Look at all these people coming here. We could generate a lot of revenue if we stuck it out now for a while. Find out. I mean, I don't think they're going to tear that mall down and just make a parking lot out of it. They do have plans to do something with it. And when it does, it'll revitalize that area. And just like the revenue left when the post office died, when the mall revitalizes again, a lot of that revenue should come back. Final thing I would say is that the people with post office boxes, I went through the change when we remodeled when the main office was remodeled. And the post office box section was moved out into trailers out in the parking lot. New boxes were installed in the post office at Main Street, and when the customers had to move back in, that was a nightmare I'm never going to have to go through again. Everybody had to change their addresses. That was a major problem with the forwarding of the mail. It was a major problem in that people that had been there for years had certain boxes and had certain sizes. We couldn't accommodate them. You may have so many people that had small boxes, and then when we moved into the main office, you didn't have enough small boxes. So you ended up with situations where you had customers that were renting a large box. All our large boxes were full at the main office because we didn't have too many of them. And then you had, say, a different number of large boxes when we moved in. You couldn't accommodate them. They had to downsize to like a small box or a medium-sized box. And their mail volume wouldn't fit it. They loved that a lot. I mean, they hated it. I mean, can you imagine the inconvenience of that? We have some customers that 10 years later still screaming about the fact that they couldn't do that. But I just believe that if the post office looks farther down the road, when the mall revitalizes, I think it will pick up. And the only other thing is that I know that if the mall does close, the post office does close the mall. And some of those post office box customers, they'll disseminate out. Some will get street delivery, some will go elsewhere. Some will go to main office. But it will definitely put a big burden, another burden, on the post office and main office as far as parking, people getting in and out. Knowing the situation like I do, if I had to do it and I was at a post office box at the mall, I would not rent one at the main office because of the inconvenience. I would try to find another way. And there goes your revenue again. There goes revenue up.
And some want their money back.
Yeah. Sure. Oh yeah. Sure. We get a lot of that. So that's my comment and my input on that.
And thank you. And I do believe that the decline of the mall is contributing to the long Hall Finance Station. And I have, gone on the Laurel Mall website, and you do find information there of what their intentions are. So we're pulling that data, and that's included in the study also.
Yeah, and the fact, like you said, that people have been reluctant for years now, ever since they talk about revitalizing the mall. Should I get a post office box at the mall? Well, I don't know. Are they going to keep seeing that? And the thought was, too, that if they revitalized the mall from about 4 or 5 years ago when they were first considering doing that, right away the talk was out was, will the new mall even want a post office in there? Or will the post office want to be in there? So I'm reluctant to kind of get a post office box and tie myself to there and get all my stationery made up and everything like that for the businesses, and then find out, oh yeah, they revitalized the mall, and guess what? A post office is not in the plans for the Laurel Mall for whatever reason. And then they have a big, then the customers have a big problem.
Hopefully in a month we'll have some new elected officials to get the mall going.
Again, thank you. And if you have any additional questions, please contact Ananda Moss. Thank you.
Thank you.